Your second stimulus check and your third stimulus check are dependent upon one major factor which we don't know: lockdowns. In the final days before the presidential election, Donald Trump says that he will be the non-lockdown president. He will not allow lockdowns. He says that businesses will remain open and the economy will rebound quicker than under Joe Biden. Joe Biden, in turn, is suggesting that we could have lockdowns as the winter months ensue, and Democratic states have already warned that they could put their citizens back on lockdown. So which one gets you stimulus? Which one gets you a lockdown with no stimulus? And which one gets you no lockdown with lots of stimulus? A lot of twists and a lot of turns, and we're going to get through this together, and this is great news on Purple. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Purple, the continuation of Check every day on afternoons, LALATE, with really great, exciting news. I'm so glad you joined me. This is really ensuring news that suddenly the presidential candidates are geared in on stimulus and understand how stimulus is tied to economic factors and how much they want to give you. The question is when, but we're pushing the envelope on how much. Go to the front of this channel, subscribe, because by being part of this community, you're part of the largest discourse on social media and on this channel, on channels, to push the biggest stimulus you need. There's a reason why this channel is so successful, because we're pushing to get you big stimulus. We're not just sitting back and reading false narratives on camera. And as a part of this community, we're making incredible progress. So please hit that alert button at the front of this channel also, so you can alert when your new video goes live. Also, like this video. This is going to be the best video you're going to hear today that really explains what economists are now saying about lockdowns, what the president's now saying about lockdowns, and how that determines how much stimulus checks you're getting. All right, let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news as you sit here today is that President Donald Trump is on the campaign trail again today and making a series of remarks that basically says, you know what, if I'm president, I'm not putting you on lockdown. There will be no lockdowns, and ultimately the economy will rebound faster. The economy has already rebounded great today, and we will get stimulus. You will get stimulus checks. I will pass a big and bold, beautiful stimulus package, and you will get back to normal faster. I'll analyze that comment in a second. Let me go to Joe Biden. Joe Biden, on the other hand, warns about the need for lockdowns. He's part of the Democratic Party, and Democratic governors generally have endorsed the idea of lockdowns. When the COVID-19 cases rise up, they generally promote the idea of lockdowns or restrictions on business operations compared to Republican governors. So, let's now backtrack. Which of them actually give you the stimulus for what they're doing, and which of them is supported by economic suggestions? It's quite interesting. Let's go over these details. First, we saw today new economic data, new jobless claims, and rebounding of the U.S. economy, which is called the GDP. Both those numbers showed that in the months after the lockdowns were lifted, and the stimulus from the first stimulus package came through the economy, and millions of Americans got back to work or got back to their normal life without a lockdown, the economy rebounded. The new GDP number shows the economy shot up over 34% after going down 33% with the lockdowns. The numbers also show the jobless claims. The new jobless claims this week were the best since the pandemic started. That's absolutely incredible. But those are all tied to two factors: the lockdowns being lifted and new stimulus coming out at the same time. Stimulus in the form of a stimulus check, FPUC and unemployment benefits, and other things like EIDL loans, EIDL grants, free money for my single business owners or sole practitioners, Uber and Lyft drivers, and things like that. It worked. It categorically did work. There's no dispute about it. So, what is the president saying about what's going to happen in the next few months? What I refer to as the second stimulus package and the third stimulus package. Ironically, the president seems to be suggesting that he can deal with the entire wave of the pandemic from now all the way to the spring of next year with two things. One stimulus package, not two, not a second and a third, but just a second stimulus package, and the final passage of vaccines and therapeutics. Joe Biden, on the other hand, doesn't really give you much clarity. He is accused by President Donald Trump, and not denying the accusations, that he would announce lockdowns, that he may not give you big and bold stimulus, and he may not give you a third stimulus. When we look at Joe Biden's plan for stimulus, he simply has not told us anything. The President of the United States tells us a lot, but doesn't deliver. And Joe Biden, on the other hand, doesn't tell us anything. So is he going to deliver? What's important to understand is that his party, the Democrats, Nancy Pelosi, have written one stimulus package bill, which is called the second stimulus package. And it's not going to cover you all the way to May or spring, because it actually doesn't have provisions that go that far. As such, it's called the second stimulus package. Most of the provisions expire by December. Can you imagine? So under that second stimulus package, you would get a stimulus check, one. You would get some FPUC a few months, and you would get some hazard pay. Oh, wait, no, they took that out. That's all you would basically get, and a couple of other things that like EIDL grants and EIDL loans. And they would be gone in December. So what happens under a Biden administration if you're on lockdown in December and his party, the Democrats with Nancy Pelosi's bill, has now expired? Silence. Absolute categorically silence. Joe Biden should have run his campaign by saying, you know what? I have a second stimulus package that's much more broad than Nancy Pelosi's. I have a third stimulus package ready for January when the second one's over, because I think there's going to be lockdowns and I'm ready to get you through the lockdowns. I will give you money. Don't worry. You will be able to pay everything and take care of you. Nothing. Nothing. And so what millions of Americans are wondering is, okay, you want to give me another lockdown, but you don't want to give me any stimulus checks? What's important as you watch this video is the correlation or not correlation of stimulus checks and lockdown. Millions and millions of viewers of this channel every day understand and bring up to me in the comments that overseas in other countries where they have lockdowns, the citizens of those countries get checks those months while they're on lockdown. Melbourne, Australia, the city of Melbourne, Australia, on lockdowns from July of this year, July, to this last Tuesday. Europe, on lockdown. France, going on lockdown, starting this Friday all the way to December 31st. England facing lockdown. Germany facing restrictions that look like basic lockdowns. Do you think they're not giving them any stimulus checks? Do you think they're not giving them any stimulus relief at all to be on lockdown for months on end? How about Italy? Was originally on lockdown, maybe face another round of lockdown. Do you think they don't give them anything? What's important to understand is that in those countries, the citizens are very vocal and say, hey, you can't put us on lockdown unless you give us stimulus checks. Here, for some reason, with the exception of the purple power, no one else is saying to the congressional leaders, the presidential candidates, you want us to go on lockdown? Where's our stimulus check? You put us on lockdown before in March. You didn't give us a stimulus check for April, May when we were on lockdown. We're still waiting to get paid for those 2 months. Now you are talking about another round of lockdowns. Where are our stimulus checks for the new thing coming up? That's really what's troubling to me as Americans. And then there's Nancy Pelosi. Her latest version is that she needs to work on language of testing and tracing and things like that in the stimulus bill. Ultimately, millions of Americans are wondering, okay, where are you working on the third stimulus package? If you're facing a lockdown and that lockdown continues all the way to March, under the Democrats, there is no bill that covers you for March relief. There is no bill. And there may not be a bill. And even if they write a bill starting today, it may not be in time. Bills take weeks to write and then weeks to pass. And then they got those vacations. You remember those vacations? Mark Meadows, chief of staff to Donald Trump, spoke today to Maria Bartiromo on Fox News, Fox Business Channel, to speak about why lockdowns are dangerous if there's no stimulus tied to them. And he said they're not part of our strategy that's not part of our strategy that's going in to include a lockdown. This president has made sure that we're working around the clock to get therapeutics and vaccines approved. And we're well on our way, hopefully with a few weeks of deploying vaccines and getting final approval of a couple of different companies. That's what the president's all about, finding ways to make sure we can grow our economy, lower the taxes. He's got a plan that's to lower the taxes for middle wage earners and also looking at incentives to bring onshoring, bring companies back from overboard, abroad, I'm butchering that word, sorry, here to the United States. And we're going to make sure that America's open for business, so as you say, made in America, and it's not only produces the highest quality, but also at the lowest cost. So what Meadows is saying is that therapeutics and vaccines will be approved promptly, and that with those approvals, we won't need lockdowns, that you can basically deal with it accordingly. Ironically, Mark Meadows' comments are exactly true. They're not false at all. I detailed them yesterday and the day before where we are on therapeutics and vaccines. Therapeutics provide you the ability to take a pill or a relief so that you, when you do contract COVID-19, and a vaccine prevents you from getting COVID-19. Where are we on that? Merck and Pfizer have 2 therapeutics, and among them, Merck is proposing a 5-pill program where you stay at the home in your privacy home. You get 5 pills from your pharmacist. You just throw a pill in your mouth, and after 5 days, the virus goes out of your system. It's a therapeutic. It does not require hospitalization. It does not require a visit to the doctor. It's absolutely incredible. That's expected to be available by December. Then on the other front is the vaccine. One vaccine which I detailed on the video earlier today on 28. That CEO spoke today and explained that vaccine could be ready by December. Meadows continues, at the same time, a national lockdown strategy or national quarantine strategy that is proposed by the left is not effective and it's not ultimately will contain or control this virus. So any suggestions that we're waving the white flag is certainly not keeping up with the president. You've been places where you have places where they've been on lockdown and it's spread. You've had places where it's been open and it's spread. And I think ultimately we have to have a balanced approach, said Jared Kushner, also on Fox News. What's important to understand is that, is if you want to promote lockdowns and you're running for the presidency, where is the stimulus checks? How many stimulus checks are you giving us for the lockdown? How many weeks of FPUC are you giving us? And when are the FPUC weeks retroactive? One of the problems that the viewers of this channel have had with these political officials is that they seem to just miss things out or leave things out. For example, the Democrats' FPUC is not retroactive to the month of August, so they're losing a whole month of FPUC. Their stimulus checks are missing months from the last lockdown and may miss months in the new lockdown. By all accounts, if Trump's characterization of Biden is correct, you could potentially be on lockdown from November to February, and Pelosi's bill is one stimulus check to cover you from last May to February of next year. It doesn't make financial sense. Either you give us a lockdown with lots of stimulus checks, or you don't give us a lockdown. And that may ultimately determine the presidency, because ultimately people understand, you know what? I went through that last lockdown and you didn't give me junk. I had problems getting the unemployment assistance. I had problems getting the EIDL loan and grant. I had problems getting the PPP, I didn't get it. And that I'm not going to go through that again. And that they may ultimately choose the president based upon the unwillingness to be back on lockdown because it financially may ruin their family forever. And they don't see the federal government giving them the stimulus to get through the pandemic one more time. What's important to understand is you will get stimulus. I'm here with you to get the stimulus. But I don't know if you're going to get second and third stimulus, or if how hard a push it's going to be for the Purple Power to get a lot of stimulus if there is more lockdowns under a new president. Let me go over some incredible comments and questions from yesterday. Mike Sullivan, Nancy needs to rev up her broom and hit the highway. Maria, Purple Power family. Annette, I don't understand someone who tells us president to do executive order. Chris Malato, it's time we start marching for stimulus in all 50 states. Donna, I can't believe the president is so busy on his campaign, he's not taking the time to help the American people. Chris Iman, Purple Power, God help those who help themselves. Deborah, just tweeted the President, VP Nancy, and the GOP. Purple Power family, push, push, push. I love that. Thank you for a great comment, Deborah Parker. Michelle Freed, where the hell's Congress? No one is working now? Oh my God. No, they're not working. They're absolutely not working. Teresa Peoples, we need your help. Please, Mr. President, we need your help. Michelle Freed, Congress is operating in lame duck mode already. They can't work with anyone until it's their own party is certainly elected. Ridiculous. That's what I talked about yesterday, where both sides are sort of expecting an outcome for the election, and if they don't get their outcome, then everything gets screwy. What won't get screwy is I'm here. And with that, go to the Fun's channel, subscribe, because who's going to dress up in Halloween costumes and dress up in purple jackets and keep your spirits up and keep you motivated, keep you informed, keep you educated, and keep you on the right path to getting your stimulus every single hour of every sin's day. So please subscribe to the Fun's channel, on this Fun's channel, and be part of this community. And when you publicly subscribe, if you've not publicly subscribed, go into the pinned comment of this video. So I see when you're posting, I can see that you're a public subscriber. I will see a little red dot next to your name. So make sure you are publicly subscribed as well. Also, like this video. Coming up next is McConnell versus Trump, with big developments on that. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay with LA for more.